I want to talk about the idea of and the possibility of change. And what it means in your life, and why it seems so hard for most people to achieve. First of all, sometimes change happens. It can be something like out of the blue. You meet somebody, you get hired for a job, you get fired from a job, a car hits you. You win the lottery. You know, things happen. And those changes tend to get incorporated very quickly into your narrative, into your story. I am now this as opposed to that. I'm now a fired person, I'm now a victim, I'm now a great success, I'm now a hero. And the weaving in of that new event into the story seems like change, but it's really not change. It's just perpetuation of the story. You just keep feeding new things into the narrative. So it's things shifting, but that which coheres, that which is essentially you, remains the same. Real change involves that which you think of as you becoming different. Where you actually get to see parts of your own being that you haven't seen before. You get to know yourself in a different way. Change is when the familiar of you falls away. The expected, the routine, the concretized person that you know of yourself and that everybody knows is you. We all get older, the body changes, our story changes. But I have worked with people spiritually for many years, and only occasionally do I see that anybody changes. By that I mean not that they become other, different people, but that they become transformed. The first time I ever became somewhat aware of it as a possibility was Rudy. Because Rudy, he never held the same form for very long. I could never walk into his shop or see him in class and guarantee that I would find the same person there who I knew before. Never. he would always be surprising, unexpected, other, more than, never less than, more than what I knew before. It was an amazing thing to see. And as he evolved in his life, especially as he got toward the end of his life, I kept thinking, he's becoming Rudy. He's becoming himself. I don't know how to explain what that means other than the fact that there was more of this person than before. That he had become more fully this person. And the fullness of that was so remarkable to me. To be in the presence of someone who is fully themselves is such a rare thing. Because mostly what we come in touch with is someone who is so not completely themselves. Such a limited expression of what they could be, might be, should be, would be. So holding on to the pattern of identity, a pattern of, this is who I am, defending it to the death sometimes. And I keep, the word concrete comes up all the time for me, the concretization of people, the locking in of form, the locking in of identity, of patterning behaviors, so that they are totally what you expect. Over and over and over. To the point of deadly boredom. Why would you want to be around these people anymore? You know everything that's going to come out of them. You can say the next word. You can. You don't have to walk in the room. You could be in your mind and do an entire dinner party with them. And play it all out, and it won't be the same a year from now. It will not change, because they will not change, and they will fight to the death not to change. So what happens to us sitting in this classroom where we're asking primarily to surrender? We used to talk about asking to grow, and that's still a good word, but it doesn't represent what I teach at this point. Asking to grow tends to mean the acquisition of new skills and new abilities. Building a resume. Creating a new physical self, let's say. A new part of your story. That's fine. It's all fine. Not that you shouldn't do it. Not that you shouldn't make a better life for yourself. Not that you shouldn't move to a nicer house and marry somebody and have children and do all these wonderful, wonderful things. It's all part of life. But the real change comes in letting go of something. Letting go of something. And what is it that we let go of? When we ask to surrender as opposed to grow, what are we letting go of? We are letting go of the limitations of our own identity. We're letting go of what we're told we are, what we're told we have become, what the universe programmed us to be. We're just letting it go. In other words, we're not just digging it out and throwing it away, we're just letting go. And the surprise when you surrender, when you truly surrender in life, is there's more of you than you knew. You let go, and this thing goes, it just arises. The possibilities arise. Newness arises. What has been holding you back and locking you into identity as it falls away reveals how big you are, how free you are, how open you are, how available you are to yourself and to other people. What starts to happen is a kind of magnanimity of being, a largeness of person. It may not be perceived as change as such, meaning that you've shifted from this to that. It's change that you've become more of yourself, more of who you already are. And it will surprise you just like it will surprise everybody else. It will be a renewal, a reawakening sometimes, or let's get rid of the word re, it will be a new version of you arising. This fullness is something we hunger for. When we watch our children or our grandchildren in the early phase of their life, it's endless acquisition of newness. Newness. And what's our reaction to that newness? It's like awe. It's awe. My kids sent me a video of my granddaughter, which they do regularly, thank God, and I'm watching this unfolding of her being. And of course with a child it's just unending. Talia's mother, Evan, was reading her a book and the word delighted came up. And she said, "What's delighted?" And Talia went, "Happy." And the fact that she had been able to transfer a word like delighted into happy, and I could see the cognitive cells working and working and working and opening. It's so unbelievably thrilling to watch that. And then what happens? And we all know what happens. We finally figure it out. We know what it is. We know who we are. We've defined ourselves in every possible way so that we are completely solidified in our persona. And it's horrible. Rudy defined it on some level as you build the coffin of your life way before you die. And then you just lock yourself inside. And that's what you see. You see it all over the place. And I'm often dealing with the deadness of people rather than the aliveness of people. You know, there's other ways to look at it. The awakened community describes the unawakened life as puppets or characters. People are puppets or characters. And you start to look at everyone you're with in their puppet character mode, playing out their little scenes over and over and over and over again. And, you know, you look at it and you my desire, it varies from person to person. Some I just want to go, get over it, come on already. Others I just want to hug into a new awareness. Go, you're not the puppet. You're not that. You think you're that. I know you've played that game now for so long, but you're not that. What are you? What are you? That's a question every one of you should be asking yourself. It's really why you come to a place like this. Who am I? What is this? It's usually some kind of frustration with the character that finally says, I got to get help. And this is one of the kinds of places you choose. Another is, you know, you go off and get Zoloft, or you get some kind of, you know, somebody to give you some kind of other idea of what you could be, but it all, again, fits into the story. What I'm trying to do is get you out of your story. Get out of the story. It doesn't release you entirely, because clearly that story is part of what you are. But what you are is that story and infinite reality at the same time. Infinite reality. And if you are living only in this story, you are locked up in a little hand puppet hello, my name is so-and-so. I'm this person. I do this and I do that, and that's all I do when I go to sleep and I wake up and I go to work and I drive a car and I watch TV and I go home and go to bed. And that's your story. And it's really, it's fine, you know, if that's what you want in life, and a lot of people do. But if you don't want that, you have to change. And if you have to change, how do you do it? Well, you take a deep breath and you ask inside for help to surrender. In other words, to let go of the story, to let go of your drama, to let go of your lack of satisfaction or your programmed need for a particular kind of satisfaction. Just let go. Let what wants to happen, happen. What wants to happen is obstructed by your rigidity, by your tension, by your resistance, by your belief in the story you've told yourself. What wants to happen can't happen because when it starts to happen, nothing in you sees it. Nothing in you is aware of it. It starts to arise and you chop it off at the root. That's not me. I can't do that. That wouldn't happen. You know, people who don't give themselves opportunity, people who are afraid of possibility, people who go, I don't have the energy for that, people who don't dream possibilities, because half of this stuff arises out of dreams and fantasies. Half of what life is arises as a possibility, like, I wonder if I could do that. Or frightened to say something to the one person who probably would be your partner for your whole life if you said that one thing and don't. The lack of courage to live, to be who you are. All of these things locks us into the drama of our life. And what I try to do when I sit here and what I try to do for myself, and it's not easy. So look, I have total compassion for everybody who's trying and having a hard time at this. But the way to make this work is to open up to what is. What is called life. That's what is. And what is life doing? It is moving and growing and stretching and expressing itself all the time. And what are we doing? Saying, don't touch me. Don't get near me. You're not the right version that I wanted. You know, the person who could give you the most happiness in life has the wrong haircut. Couldn't possibly be with that person. Is 5 pounds overweight. Whatever it is, it's always not that part of life, not that for me. I want it this way or no way. Well, it's hard for life to deliver your exact image, the exact thing you want. Also, life doesn't usually bother for one reason, that what you want today is going to be different next week. It always is. You get bored with the same cereal every day. You keep changing. You keep altering who you are all the time. So why should life try to satisfy one of these temporary desires? It means nothing. I'll tell you what life looks for, and it really does. What do you need? What do you really want? And one of the things that expresses to life what you need and what you want is what you tell it. If you say, I really want this thing, and then you back it up, because let's say wanting is all, I always talk about it, wanting is really an intellectual idea that's third eye oriented. Then you wish for this thing to happen, and that's all heart oriented. But the navel chakra of need, of will, of desire to do it starts to activate, and you start to act on the thing you want. I've said this 1,000 times. You want to go on a diet, you wish you could lose weight, you start losing weight. You demonstrate it. And then does help come in? Yes. You get reinforced. Reinforcement comes. You want to be a baseball player, you wish to be it from the minute you're 5 years old. You start going to training camps, you start playing every spare afternoon, when you start to demonstrate to the universe what you want and what you need, it comes through. It happens. The thing you need starts to happen. Now, there's a trick to this. I often refer to the movie Casablanca, one of the great movies. Humphrey Bogart thinks he needs Ingrid Bergman. He thinks he needs her, and we are rooting for him to end up with her at the end of the movie. But what he gets at the movie, in the end of the movie, sorry if it's a spoiler for some of you, but she leaves him to go off with her husband for the war effort, to help with the war effort. And he ends up a better human being. He ends up a remarkable human being. That's what he needed. That's what he needed. And I'm telling you, in spiritual work, the universe is much wiser than we are. It may not give you what you want, but as Mick Jagger has told us forever, it will give you what you need. It will give it to you. But you have to demonstrate your hunger, even for what you want. In that force of effort, in that commitment, in that grounding of yourself, in the efforts of the world, the universe goes, this person has earned it. They deserve it. And it will give them the thing they need. Sorry if it isn't the thing you want. Sorry. But believe me, you will walk out of here fulfilled. You will walk out of here complete. Every one of us fails to get something. Every one of us fails to get something we wanted. It's just the way it works. But if you really put in your time and effort, you will get the things you need. And you will have this life that will amaze and surprise you. And you will start to discover, this is the crazy part, that everything you need, you already are. Everything you've been looking for is exactly what's there. The only thing that kept you from knowing that was your total fascination with and involvement with the fantasy, the story, the narrative, the wanting it to be this, the wanting it to be that. The minute all that falls away, and it does, you realize this is what you wanted. This truly is it. This is it. The fullness of this, and by this I mean that you are alive right now. The fullness of that is so phenomenal, so extraordinary, so beyond belief, that nothing is greater. Nothing. To know that you're alive in this moment, to be alive, to be here in the endless surprise of life, to be open to the next breath, to be open to the next possibility, to be open to having, being, sharing, all of the joy and drama. That's what life is. And you have it. You have it right this minute. The dreams that go along with that, the desires that go along with that, the fears that go along with that, all of that is part of it. And once you see that, it's like you're living the biggest, most beautiful opera ever written. It's big. It's amazing. It touches every note and chord in existence. It's melodic. It's astringent. It's sour. It's sweet. It's everything. Arriving at that is so important. And the thing that keeps us from arriving at that is our locked-in nature, our concrete sense of this is how it is. This is how it is a story you tell yourself. Get rid of the story, and that is really how it is. Get rid of the story, and you'll discover truth. You'll discover totality, and you'll discover it's you. It's you. It's always been you. It's never not been you. The whole life drama that's happening, and this is the bigger note, but I know it's impossible to understand. The totality of life happening is you. Not your little story, not even your body. This, the train going by, the rain, the trees, the sky, Los Angeles, the world, the universe, is you. It's all you. Not you, it's a little person. Yes, partly that, but you beyond that. So when you sit here in your little rigid form and say, oh, I really want to surrender, and then you don't do anything, it's really frustrating to me, let alone to you, because I know you want it. You wouldn't be here otherwise. I know you want it. But if you're not getting it, if it's not working, it's because you are fighting harder than you're asking. You're resisting life more than you want it. And you're scared to death. And scared to death, yes, everyone is scared to death. Rudy's answer to that, and it's been with me from the moment he said it, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, even though I shall be shitting in my pants every step of the way. That's the line. Why be afraid? Or why think being afraid is a reason not to move forward? Move forward because you're here, because you have a life. Take it on. Take on the mission of life. Take on all these possibilities and change it up occasionally. Change it up. I don't know what that means for each of you individually, but I think each of you has to pick the thing you would never do and do it. The place you never wanted to visit, go there. Something. It's kind of like anything, just to change the equation. Get a different view of yourself. People always say travel gives you a chance to see yourself differently. Yes, it can. So find a way to travel. It doesn't have to be to Uruguay or China. You can go to you can just go to another part of LA that you've never seen. There's a million things you can do. You can take on something that you wouldn't do. Take on something that's going to demand stuff of you. Big brother, big sister thing. Something, work in a hospital for a day. I mean, those ideas often seem absurd, but they're not absurd. The thing about taking on something like that, really reaching out in some helping mode, is it's going to shift your entire sense of self, it's going to shift your identity, and it's going to shift how your days flow. But I don't think any of you are going to do a thing I'm talking about, but I'm telling you, find the thing that will change you, even in the most story-like narrative sense, just to begin this process of unfolding, to begin this idea of letting go of the rigidity of your idea of yourself and just be who you are. I'll tell you this from my own experience. Being who you are is the simplest thing there is. It actually involves total simplicity. Total simplicity. Just be. Express your needs, express your feelings, express your truth, moment to moment. It can be grand, it doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be grand at all. It can be very small and very simple, but it will be very full. It will be very completing, fulfilling. It will be the discovery of who you are, and you will find in that why you were in this world at all. That's what we're doing. It's why you come here. It's one way to work it through. It's one way to push it into place. If you find another way to do it, God bless you. Go for it. But find something. Find a way to change the thing that locks you up, and find a way into the thing that opens you and makes it all possible. It really comes down to a big breath, Please help me to surrender. Thy will be done. And go from there. Any questions?
Even as I ask this question, as is always the case when I want to ask a question, I don't know the answer is, because you tell it to us. It has to do with surrender. And I'm sorry to make this so personal, but I'm always so amazed, particularly amazed right now in my own life, how I've become that amazingly a boring person. I'm so bored with how locked in I am and holding on so tightly to things I want and need. I laugh about it every night, and sometimes I scream about it.
You're one of the least locked in people I know. Just so you know that.
It's not, it's interesting. Once again, sorry to make it so personal, but in the movie business, as you know better than anyone, you deal with a lot of the people you're describing with who are just the unawakened, but they've got their hands on the control. They've got the money, they've got the actresses, they've got them, and they hold your future. And it's maddening, and I'm becoming one of them. I'm looped and angry and holding on, gripping to everything I need and want, and I've never struggled so hard to surrender, even in the face of having a new baby girl. Nothing could be more beautiful, and I have to, show her a smile behind. The face behind her is just gnarled, angry, furious, determined, over-determined, unable to surrender.
I think it's a misinterpretation on some level.
Please tell me.
Well, no, I think life is a battle. Mm-hmm. Life is a battle. You can't try to get through life in a state of surrender, which is passivity. Mm-hmm. You surrender to all the power you can find to go after what it is you want. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you will get what you need, whatever that is, and I know at this moment you think need is, a movie getting made, or, the success of a movie getting made that turns into a career that allows a lot of movies to get made. That's what one wants in Hollywood. It happens for a few people, and you've actually had some success. The obstruction in life, the level of resistance outside is so enormous that it takes all of this enormous energy inside to make it work. But does it work best in rage mode, in anger mode, or does it work in this gentle, tendril-like movement through the system? You have to find that for yourself. You may have to use all the tools in the toolbox, but you have to do what you have to do and realize this is what's required. Life will make it hard. It's not that it will make it; it is hard. On the other hand, this is my belief, and I can't guarantee this to anybody, but it's my sense that the universe is here to give you what you want. That's the whole entire universe is to do that. But it has to move literally time and space to make it happen. Moving time and space for your wishes means a lot of the universe has to get shifted for that to happen. A lot of other people's wishes are all tied in with yours and their fears, and all of this is going on. It is working its damnedest to get it done. I really believe that. As long as you are collaborating with that process, as long as you're in play, as long as you're working, putting your tendril this way and that way, half the tendrils that go out from a little acorn go down in the wrong direction. Half go up to the light, and some meet major stones and some meet heavy-duty clay, but a number of them break through. It just takes one, and the whole thing, the light comes through, the rain comes through, the possibility of photosynthesis comes through, and this thing breaks up and grows into this unbelievable tree. It's a process. Do all acorns grow into a tree? No, that's why there's so many of them, because some don't. And what would be the worst thing that could happen to you if none of this happened? Well, you have to kind of imagine that. The worst thing, as far as I can tell for you, is that you would still be teaching, and that you would have 2 unbelievably beautiful daughters and a beautiful wife and a really comfortable home and a really joyous life, with one thing missing, which is satisfaction of a big career and a lot of money raining down. And I get that. We all want that. Everybody wants that. But if worse came to worse, what you have is, from what I can tell looking at the world around me, unbelievably wonderful. I know why you want the rest, and I've had actually a taste of the rest. And I will tell you from experience, the money's nice, reputation maybe is nice, although it's very vague and very ephemeral and tends to die away very quickly. So does the money. You know, what remains for me that has value? My children, my wife, my granddaughter, my friends, my students. Period. That's all it comes down to. And when you hit my age, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Whether your career becomes the biggest career in Hollywood or not, you will know that what mattered in the end was always in front of you. That's all that mattered. That's it. And even that, when the Alzheimer kicks in, all that starts to fade away, and you can just hope one of those kids will come visit you once in a while, and you won't even know their name, but you'll know when they walk in the room, I know you. You know? And it will feel good. That's how it works. That's how it works. But that journey is going to be centered in something, and already is centered in something unbelievably beautiful. And I know your heart, and I know the truth that emanates from you. I mean, talk about change, talk about growth, talk about arriving at a place of true joy in life. You've done that, and I know the frustrations, and they're not going to go away, and they're all necessary. They're built into the equation of being alive. That oak tree is fighting like mad to get bigger than all the other oak trees, and it wants to be bigger than the other oak trees because it wants more light. And you don't see this on above ground, but the roots of that oak tree are trying to kill the roots of other oak trees so it can get where it wants to go. Somebody once told me, a really smart guy, the biggest dramas and wars on the planet are under the earth with foliage. It's at war with it. It's at war with everything around it, trying to get its advantage. So this peaceful, beautiful universe that we see of trees growing in the forest is actually a war zone. You know, and all I can tell you is keep your center, keep working. Yes, reach for what you want. Know that you're going to be obstructed at every single level, because that's really what it does, until it doesn't. And it'll know when to move. You know, my own career, I've told this story 1,000 times. I reached and reached and reached for all the early years of my life, but it wasn't until my mid-40s that it even began. But I was writing scripts, I was trying everything before that. I never gave up. I never gave up because I didn't know what else to do. But it was that determination that I think partly had it happen, and also because they wanted me to tell or try to tell certain kinds of stories. So you follow your bliss, you follow your heart, you follow your instinct, you do all the stuff in life that you can do, and bang your head against the wall if you have to, and don't give up. Just don't give up, because you can't. And whatever happens, you're already blessed, truly. Anyone else? Okay, I know it's the holidays and people are traveling and all that other stuff, but we're going to keep having class, and anybody who feels like showing up, you're welcome to be here. Lots of love.